Greetings, duelists, and welcome to another video. Infinite Forbidden keeps revealing new cards for us. Uh, uh, as of last night, we got revealed a couple of new agent cards. I'm not going to talk about all of them. However, there is one particular one that really caught my eye, and I really just wanted to make a video on because I feel like this card, out of all the cards that I've read, has like the most applications. They can be seen like in strategies somehow, some way in the future. And that card is called Deceiveblaster, the Matchless Turret. So this card is a level 5 machine light monster. It's a pendulum monster, and the pendulum effect reads negate all cards in effects activated in this card's column. Uh, so this is a really interesting effect. However, there is more to this card, and we're going to read the rest of it. As for the monster effect, you can only special summon with the first effect of this card's name once per turn. You can special summon this card from your hand to a column with no cards. Negate all cards and effects activated in this card's column. If this card in the monster zone is destroyed, you can place it in your pendulum zone. So essentially, what this means is this card is pretty much like basically it has a blanket negation effect for anything that is adjacent to this card's column. Meaning that if your opponent plays into this card, or they uh, they they already have a card established and you place this card in the pendulum zone, those cards are just going to be negated. And not only that, well, it kind of negates the cards that are being activated at the time. So be wary that it won't like directly negate something that it is like on the board itself. It's not something like Skildred, for example, where it just negates whatever it's in there. It negates whatever is activating. Uh, but that is still really strong to some degree, because now with the existence of this card, your opponent has to be careful with when it comes to the column, uh, wherever this card is placed in. Like let's say for example you're facing against like a deck that has like SP Little Knight or has something like IP Masquerena, and they have it on these columns. uh, you can just put the matchless turret into that column, and they're pretty much forced to activate it before the matchless turret resolves. Otherwise, those cards will be negated on the spot. Uh, Something really cool about this card is that it is a light machine and it is level 5, meaning that if you can summon multiple of them, you can special summon Cyber Dragon Nova and then Cyber Dragon Infinity. But also, it is a pendulum monster, so you can make cards like Beyond the Pendulum, and you can make cards like Exceed the Pendulum, and Exceed the Pendulum can actually retrieve this card from the extra deck back to your hand, meaning that you have a card that you can just place on the column to just like keep interrupting your monster, your opponent's effects. Since this card has 500 attack, that means it is a catalyst for machine duplication, meaning that one play that you can do is just summon this card, activate machine duplication, special summon more copies of it, and essentially you're blanking out already a couple of zones. Uh, and that's pretty cool. Basically, your opponent has to like be careful, or they pretty much has to like they're forced to just play into a scenario where they can just fall victim to these cards uh, if they're not like very careful. Uh, so basically, like I mentioned beforehand, just if you activate machine duplication, you just summon all these, and then essentially you just have like three omni negates for anything your opponent activates, uh, if they're not careful. But let's go a little bit further. Let's say, for example, you have Pendulum Switch. And this card is very, very searchable because of a card like Duelist Alliance. If you don't know what Duelist Alliance does, like this card came out in Maximum Crisis. Basically, if there's a card in a Pendulum Zone, you can just add a Pendulum card, Speller Trap. So, for those who don't know what this card is, this was a TCG exclusive for us. And this card reads, you can target one card in your Pendulum Zone, special summon it. You can target one Pendulum monster in your monster zone, place that monster to your Pendulum Zone. You can only use one Pendulum Switch effect per turn, and only once that turn. So essentially what this card means is, if you have the Matchless Turret in your Pendulum Zone, and you have the Pendulum Switch, you can essentially just chain the Pendulum Switch to special summon the Deceiveblaster, and basically this essentially just becomes like an omni negate to whatever your opponent is activating, as long as it's on whatever column similar to like the Deceiveblaster. So this is basically like a Mekk-Knight situation where you can just like move cards in adjacent zones and just force in your opponent to just misplay into them. This is a very similar situation that can occur with this card. But yeah, uh, I felt like uh, this card was very much worth talking about. You can special summon this card from your hand with Psychic Processor, so if you have multiple of them, you can just special summon it. This is a light machine, so if it ends up being in the graveyard, you can use it for Cyber Eltanin. If you play Cyber Dragons, you can use Cyber Repair Plant to search this card. And it is a level 5 light machine, so you can just do like the Cyber Dragon plays. You can play like you can play this card. You can play this deck as a very annoying control deck, and just use cards like Pulse Mines, for example, to just like put your opponent into a very, very awkward position whenever they're trying to play the game. But yeah, that's all I kind of wanted to talk about. There are a lot of other cards that got revealed, but out of everything in that set, I felt like this was like the more interesting one. And who knows, maybe this card can actually become a game changer someday. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if people start like side decking or main decking this card. Just because it has really cool applications. It is an extender of some sort, so you can use it in your turn one if you're like trying to progress to the game. If you build your deck around this card can like pretty much just shut down whatever your opponent is trying to do. Uh, Overall, very interesting card. I hope you found this video informative to your liking and understanding. More videos coming soon. Keep practicing, keep dueling.